Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin Ar-Rahmanir Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in Ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin amin. Sadaqallahul Azim. First of all, I would like to welcome our speaker, Professor IRTS Dr. Rahim Talib. And also I want to acknowledge, thank you, Prof. Hafiz. He's our Deputy Director for Research, IIUM. He is here. Welcome, Prof. And not to forget our colleague in IIUM. Welcome to this sharing session on a grant. I think it is an international grant. It's like a matching grant from Spain and Malaysia, inshallah. And this grant is kind of unique because one country, Spain, together with Malaysia, with a matching grant, of course, to fund our research in Malaysia. So I think I have to introduce our expert speaker, which is Professor IRTS Dr. Rahim Talib. He is a professor at the Department of Aerospace Engineering, Faculty of Engineering, Universiti Putra, Malaysia, Prof. He obtained his Doctor of Philosophy in Engineering Science from Rolls-Royce at UTC at the University of Oxford, United Kingdom in 2003, and Bachelor Engineering Honours in Aeronautical Engineering at the University of Salford, UK in 1998. He registered as a professional engineer with practicing certificate with the Board of Engineer Malaysia, BEM, and registered professional technologist with the Nation Board of Technology, MBOT. He is currently the Vice President and fellow member of Malaysian Society for Engineering and Technology, MSA.R.E.S. He is also the current Secretary General of Southeast Asia Network on Aerospace Engineering, M.S.A.N.A.E. His field of expertise includes aerodynamics, heat transfer, propulsion, sustainable aviation, and materials. He was the recipient of the International Sustainable Aviation and Energy Research Society, M.S.A.R.E.S, Young Scientist Award at the International Symposium of Sustainable Aviation in Budapest 2019, mashallah. And he also being awarded a Science Award in Kuala Lumpur 2020. I think, yeah, too much to say about Prof. Rahim. I known her very well, and we are quite delighted to have you with us to share your experience, especially how you've been granted this huge amount of money from this Mysip. I think without further ado, please welcome Prof. Rahim. The screen is yours. Fayatafadal mashkura.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Hanafi Azami, for the moderator for today's session. Of course, not to forget the Research Management Center, the organizer of today's event, the sharing session of Mysip grant, and at the same time, all participants in this small webinar session. So I would like to thank the International Islamic University of Malaysia for inviting me for this sharing session. And I think this is due to the fact that I've been invited earlier by Universiti Malaya Advanced Materials and Manufacturing Center, and I posted in Facebook where Dr. Hanafi himself saw the opportunity and straight away inviting me to this sharing session to IIUM members. So I hope by having this small sharing, probably it can enlighten all of you, probably whether you are applying for the Mysip grant or other international grant, wherever possible. And I think Dr. Hanafi also an expert in terms of securing international grants. All right, without further delay, maybe I can just try to share my screen now. so that I can deliver my sharing session. So is it viewable, Hanafi? Okay, right. Let me begin. Just to note to all participants, you may interrupt me at any time of my presentation. If you want to wait for at the end of the session to ask question, also would be very helpful. It's going to take around 20 to 30 minutes in terms of the sharing. And as I said, if you want to stop me, Dr. Hanafi, you can stop me at any time, yeah, so that we don't have to go back throughout the slide. Right. I believe we have enough people, even though we do not have many participants. Similarly, with Universiti Malaya, there are only a few handful of members, but they also share it with other people through other network. Okay. Without further delay, in terms of the title for today's sharing session is I would like to share with all of you in terms of my experience, my team experience in securing the Malaysia-Spain Innovation Program. Yeah, it is called Mysip grant that being awarded by the two countries. From Malaysia, we have Malaysia Industry Government Group for High Technology, M.A.R.E.S. At the same time, we have the Ministry of Higher Education. On the Spanish side, we have this agency called CDTI. I believe I do not have to pronounce the Centro para el Desarrollo Tecnológico Industrial. It is like a similar entity in Spain to what we have here known as M.A.R.E.S. Okay, so the two agencies, the three agencies, M.A.R.E.S, Ministry of Education, and CDTI, are the what we call it as the funder for this program. Right, this is just a slide that shows everything. Okay, of course, I'm not just going to show this particular slide. It's just the highlight of what we have secured under Mysip program, right? So the Mysip grant that we have already obtained, it is called Mysip 2020 initiative. If you, just to let you know that the Mysip is actually already started in 2019. So they have the initiative announced in 2019. However, I've been made to know that there aren't any successful applicants. We did tried halfway in 2019, but due to the certain condition of having suitable partners from Spain especially, so we have to withdraw our application in 2019. But Alhamdulillah, 2020, when we reapply and we have a new partners, and we got the grant in 2021 December. So it's just being awarded last December, and now we are in the Q2 of the implementation. So the title of our project is development of what we call it as Aero plus ISO guard. It's just like a protection or a thermal insulating coating, right? Using ecological aerogel from rice husk. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, the funders are being highlighted in this small box. Okay, and the project consortium. Okay, the rule of the grant is basically we need to have a university in Malaysia. Okay, one lead university in Malaysia. In this particular case, Universiti Putra Malaysia, and we have the Spanish industry. Okay, the company in Spain called ICA, and another industry in Malaysia, Maju Scientific. So as you can see here, the consortium itself, we do not have a counterpart from the academic in the Spain. So that is because the Ministry of Higher Education Spain is not involved in this particular initiative. So and they do not have any funding for the Spanish university. So compared to us, we have the Ministry of Higher Education to support the initiative. And at the same time, we have collaborators. We receive our rice husk aerogel from Aerogel Plus. Okay, this is a company situated in Mauritius. It's actually a company founded by my ex-PhD student, Dr. Nadir. Probably Dr. Hanafi knows him very well. And he founded the company and formed a manufacturing company that produce aerogel. And now he's one of our collaborator. He's situated in Mauritius, and we also have our local manufacturer for pin, which is called Bina Pin Sendirian Berhad, that is responsible to produce the pin in mass production later on. So in other words, what we are doing is trying to produce a thermal insulating coating, based on the technology from Spain, which is over here, the ISO guard. The company ICA itself, they are already a manufacturer or a supplier for thermal insulating coating for application in oil and gas, at the same time for thermal insulator for many industrial application. At the same time, what we are trying to do here is to combine our technology from Malaysia, the one that we are using previously in trying to coat or thermal protect aircraft engine components for fire insulation. So we combine that with the technology from Spain and to produce a new product. Okay, the new product that we have basically it should be able to, of course, as a thermal insulator, it will block heat and cold. It will also provide anti-mold and antifungal in terms of our paint that being used. We also have an application of blocking moisture, dampen sound. Of course, it is nature friendly because it is non-hazardous to the environment. With the unique component of aerogel that we are using, it can retard fire at the lowest temperature to the highest temperature, which is around 1,200 degrees Celsius, which is suitable for aircraft engine fire rating. So, but we are not, for this particular project, we are not applied to aerospace application. And at the same time, it is safe energy consumption. So the total funding itself that we receive as a group, as a consortium, is amounting to 2.8 million ringgit. However, the amount is being divided into the members. Later on, I will show you how the breakdown of the contribution for each members. And the project duration that is awarded to us is 24 months, starting from December 2021 until November 2023. Okay, and our case study, as I said, is not aerospace. Even though it is an aerospace technology, we are going to apply it on industrial building. Okay, so we are going to compare the performance of normal paint, okay, produced by any paint company. In our case, now we are using Bina Paint as our benchmark, and when we apply normal paint plus the our secret recipe Aerowder in our to see the performance of the product. Okay, that is just the highlight of the whole project actually. Okay, the project itself is being categorized under advanced manufacturing and materials. If you are trying to go into Mysip application, there are several categories. So the one that we have obtained falls under the advanced manufacturing and materials. That's why we we need to have some elements of advanced manufacturing at the same time, of course, having materials, right? In terms of the collaboration model, as you can see that we have a consortium. In order for you to submit the application for Mysip, all of the three parties, UPM, Maju Scientific, and ICA, need to sign a consortium agreement before submission of the proposal. That is the tricky part, okay? Where the time, because of course, if you already have a network, a collaboration, earlier collaboration with the three parties, it is much easier to go on through the consortium agreement, okay? But in our case, what we did actually through the network of Dr. Nadir and my own networking, we already had an earlier collaboration in terms of having, because they are the supplier of the thermal insulator, we buy the thermal insulator from them. So we had some earlier arrangement without any agreement. Of course, when we want to submit the Mysip proposal, we've been asked to sign a simple consortium agreement. So that is one of the requirements in order for the proposal to be accepted at the first stage. So we also need to identify in terms of the roles and responsibility of all three parties. Okay, for example, in our case, UPM is the place where we are going to do knowledge transfer on aerogel. We have been working with aerogel sources from IIUM since 2012, and we've been employing the technique, improving the coating process, and a lot of things that being published as well since 2012. And of course, when we want to submit, they want to see the track record in terms of what we have been doing so far. And at the same time, the company Maju Scientific is responsible in providing their technology for manufacturing the paint with the help of Aerogel Plus and Bina Paint. And at the same time, the ISO LECA, or their short name called ICA in Spain, is responsible to provide the ISO guard, which is microporous ultra thin insulating base panel for the application. So combining the three knowledge from each parties, we come up with the collaboration where we are going to combine the paint technology with aerogel plus the panel. So it become Aero plus ISO guard. It's just a one new product will be coming out from our collaboration, and we are going to produce the paint only with aerogel, as well as the panel with the paint and aerogel. Okay, so actually this is coming out from our proposal. This is the slide that we used to pitch the panels of examiners. And in terms of the collaboration framework, of course, we show that where is M.A.R.E.S and CDTI sits together with UPM, where we are going to nurture talent. Maju and ICA are the technology transfer vehicle. So this is just a slide that you can produce. It's just to show that we are working hand in hand with all the responsible parties. Right, let us look into the budget. As I said, it is 2.8 million. Where does the 2.8 million coming from? Okay, of course, the total is to 2.8 million. And is being divided equally for Spain and Malaysia, where the contribution of Spain is 1.4 million and contribution of Malaysia is 1.4 million, right? And since there are three funders. For Malaysia case, right, we have Ministry of Education providing the 500,000 ceiling to in our case is UPM, right, and the government of Malaysia, okay, through M.A.R.E.S is providing 500,000 ringgit to the Malaysian industry, okay, and the private contribution, okay, let me just talk about the government first. Government of Spain providing 500,000, we have already converted into Malaysian ringgit here, 500,000 ringgit to the company in Spain. Total of government contribution from CDTI, from Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, and from M.A.R.E.S is 1 million ringgit. 1 million ringgit plus 500,000. CDTI 500,000. Malaysia M.A.R.E.S and M.O.E.R.E is 1 million ringgit. Right? For the private contribution, the Spanish company itself, ICA, is contributing 900,000 because they are the only company. Whereas our Malaysian company, Maju Scientific, is contributing 400,000. So in total, the Spanish is contributing 1.4 million and the Malaysia part contributing 1.4 million. So maybe some of you are asking how much money does UPM receive. Is actually only 500,000, but the total amount of project awarded is 2.8 million. Okay. Right. This is just a slide that we use for our pitching. We are saying that there is a problem in terms of producing a good thermal insulator. We didn't specify any specific application. We don't specify is it oil and gas or aerospace or any other things. We just make it general, and we state that we in forever that we need a good thermal insulator that can save energy, save environment, and so on. So that's the problem, where we then offer our solution to provide an innovatively ecological paint, because we are using our rice husk derived aerogel, okay, which is called AeroGuard, thermo-powered by world most effective thermal insulator, which is silica aerogel, right? Of course, this is just a flow of activities. They need to know the detailed flow of activities, starting from initialization, the planning, execution, until closure of the project, which is 24 months altogether. Okay. Right. The project itself being divided into 3 phases. Okay. Project phase 1. We are now at the end of project phase 1. We are already going into product development. We are in Q2 in the first year. So phase 1 involve project planning, market assessment, business analysis. As you can see here, there is a word of market. We need to do analysis on where is the product, the end product, going to be commercialized, where we want to sell, who's going to do the marketing, and what are the competitors out there. So that's why it is no longer TRL 1, 2, or 3 like we used to do in university, right? And it is more on the commercialization, where we bring TRL level 5 up till level 7 and level 8. So TRL is a technology readiness level, if you are referring to a NASA definition. And in phase 2, we expect to do product development, testing at prototype level, and testing at real environment. Hopefully, we are now discussing with Selangor state government and Terengganu state government to employ our aerogel paint on real housing and industry building. And final stage is a phase 3, where go to market, production, and the launching of the product. So that will happen at the last 6 months of our project. Expected output, we list down 5 expected output. It's just like any other proposal. You have to show that there is what are the expected outcome from our project, which we show that there will be knowledge of mixing the super hydrophobic silica aerogel into paint, which is now we have already the formulation to do it, and the composition of a well-dispersed homogeneous aerogel-based paint that going to come up from our project, the temperature-resistant thermal conductivity of aerogel-based paint not being done before, and the insulation ability of the aerogel-based paint over a range of temperature. So, as I said, we don't really specify the application. So we have a low temperature testing and high temperature testing up to 1200 degrees Celsius. And of course, the estimated energy efficiency of a system when coated with our product, the aerogel-based coating. Our unique proposition basically just to sell that why we should be appointed, should be awarded with this particular grant. So we show that there is an element of advanced material, element of advanced manufacturing. So we try to hook the panel saying that yes, we are fulfilling the theme of the grant. So that is our strategy. So we show that we have a unique proposition. Of course, when even though the project is going into commercialization, basically going from ideation to market, but since it is also being supported by Ministry of Higher Education, they are expecting there will be talent coming out from the project. So we put up in our proposal 1 PhD or 2 master students. At the moment, we already have 1 PhD student and 1 master student. So it's still open for another candidate to fulfill the talent requirement. At the same time, being funded by Ministry of Education, Higher Education, we are also expected to publish papers, Q1, Q2, and then producing patent, attending conferences, and so on, like any other funding. Even though this is a commercialization fund, is not supposed to have papers and so on, but we need to do that as well. At the same time, this is just our promise that hopefully by having our product being patented, we can also join innovation and product design competition either locally or international level. At the same time, both of the two companies, ICA and Maju Scientific, they are responsible in finding or providing market analysis. So this is just a market analysis provided by PwC, okay, and we look at how aerogel insulation market in the world nowadays, and how the new product will come into the picture. Okay. So again, this is just a selling point. We show that we what we have in our coffer and what we can promise to drive sustainability for the industry. Okay. In summary, okay, in terms of the key takeaways, in terms of how to secure such a grant, it is not an easy task, and it is quite challenging. Where I mentioned earlier that we started to write the application in 2019, and the first partner that we approached in 2019 decided to withdraw. Just because of this, they found out that they have to be audited by the CDTI. This I'm talking about the Spanish scenario, right? So not any company would like to be their account to be audited by the government. So that what happened to our first partner. They decided to withdraw after knowing the company need to be audited. So that's why we take another year to find another partner. That alhamdulillah we found ICA, which happened to be in the same area, but we have to somehow tailor our proposal to match their capabilities, right? So the key to a successful application is basically to find the collaborative partners, a partner that can collaborate with you, a partner that can understand what's going on. Because now in the implementation side, we have a monthly meeting with the Spanish partners, as well as the Malaysian partner. We almost every day I contacted Mr. Rahimi. He's the managing director of Maju Scientific, to ensure that we can deliver the project in time. At the same time, we need to ensure there is a technology transfer. Some application that are not successful, according to MIT, they said that the technology transfer is only one way, meaning that either from Malaysia to Spain or from Spain to Malaysia. So in Mysip, they would like to see mutual technology transfer, meaning that there is technology from Malaysia, there is another technology in Spain that can benefit both parties, right? That's why there must be technology transfer both way, from Malaysia to Spain and from Spain to Malaysia, right? So that's another challenge to secure the Mysip grant. And of course, the third one is commercialization plan. So they will ask you in terms of what do you have any plans in terms of commercializing the product. So they don't want the exercise just to get another product without having a good plan on commercialization. So they want to know how much are you going to sell it, where are you going to sell it, is it that you're going to produce it in-house or you're going to have partners. So you have to show all the ecosystem that involved in order for you to secure the grant. So that is what happened in 2020 application requirements. I heard from the MIT person in charge, Miss Noran. She mentioned that for 2021 Mysip opening, they only ask you to provide a short summary in terms of what you want to do, and they will shortlisted the candidates before you fill in the full application. But that doesn't happen during our time. So we've been given to submit the full proposal in the first place. So but now they already found out that maybe people get demotivated because there are so many requirements being asked in the proposal, and without very few guidelines. So what I'm sharing with you today is basically through our experience, going through the process, going through the stringent comments and question from the panels. So that's what we being drill in terms of getting the funding. So alhamdulillah, so we already got the grant, and now it's just a matter of producing the right materials of the Mysip application. So with that, we hope that we can change, make a small change to the world, inshallah, for a better place for everybody to live in. So I stop my short sharing. I think I've already go more than 30 minutes, Dr. Hanafi. I pass back to you to moderate the Q&A. Yes.
All right, thank you. Biasalah when a lecturer or professor bagi platform cannot stop. It's normal. Okay. I would like to open to the audience any questions that you would like to ask Prof. Rahim. You may do so. And Madam Aida, can you also check any question from the comment in the YouTube as well as in the Facebook? Any question from the audience?
Yes,
Yes, Dr. Shamzani from Architecture.
Yes,
Salam.
Prof. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Hanafi. Thank you for sharing such a valuable experience. Prof, my name is Dr. Shamzani from Kulliyah of Architecture and Environmental IIUM. I'm basically civil and environmental engineer. I mean, when we read first glance, the cover of the grant, Malaysia-Spain grant, macam, it sounds huge, sounds great, but then I believe there could be lots of challenges macam like we had like last 2 years COVID, PKP kan, and then coming soon with the inflation in United States, Prof, and then they expect like Tengku Razali also mentioned that the USD could go up to RM 5.5 per USD, and then some more construction materials increase and so on. So any tips for the new applicants, Prof? Because I believe we need to anticipate all the possibilities, in the costing per se kan. That's my first question, Prof. Okay, my second question, when we talk about commercialization, sometimes, we researcher, of course, sometimes we had short discussion with Dr. Hanafi. We have all the plans to do, to produce and so on, but then when we say about commercialization, perhaps, the words sound big actually, Prof. So perhaps I would like to hear from your wisdom, Prof, insyaAllah. Thank you, Prof. 2 questions.
All right, thank you, Dr. Shamzani.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Shamzani Effendi. Right, for the 2 questions. This is from my perspective, from my opinion, in terms of how we go about in terms of trying to balance in terms of the costing due to the external factors. So of course, we could not precisely put a budget that is not going to be affected by external factors. In any of a research grant, even FRGS, Science Fund, PRGS, and other grants, especially the international grant now, we cannot run away about the currency and so on. So what we did is basically, even though it is in our case, probably some of you, when you secure Mysip grant, you are going to be held responsible directly to the university RMC. Basically, since the money that being allocated for the university is coming from MOHE, the Ministry of Higher Education, so the Ministry of Higher Education will provide the grant as a what they call it, as a lump sum. To December 2021, UPM has already got the 500,000. Compared to the industry, how they disburse the money, basically based on the milestone. So the company itself, they have to spend money, and then they can claim to M.A.R.E.S. Similarly with the counterpart in Spain. So they have to spend money first and then claim later on. But for us, the researcher, we will get the money, of course, not we, I didn't get the money to me, it is going through the RMC. So, and it is being subjected to the internal rules and regulation for respective university, how the money can be utilized. Meaning that the rules still apply the same, meaning that if the certain amount of allocation being allocated for asset, for example, for material, for salary of student and so on. So we can internally request to our own RMC for the what they call it, as a you want to transfer from one vote to another vote. When we asked MOHE, they said it's up to your RMC. They just want to make sure at the end of the day, we have commercialized the product, we have a talent being developed, we also have paper, we also have a patent. So even though that's why I said it's quite strange, this kind of grant also, they require talent development, they require paper publication and so on. Because in our first place, when we first put up our proposal, we requested a postdoc instead of a PhD student or master student, because we want to sell the product. We are not going to develop it fundamentally. So, but they said no, funding by MOHE, you have to produce master student too or a PhD student. So project pun 24 months kan. So to produce PhD student is quite tricky lah. But at least enrollment, they said. So of course you cannot run away about costing, but you can try to harmonize it if you need to adjust it according to your RMC requirements. I think somehow MOHE they are not that strict in terms of this. This is not FRGS. This is not PRGS. This is, they call it as M.A.R.E.S. It's just a matching grant, industry and ministry. So they apply a different ruling a little bit. In terms of commercialization, I don't think I'm going to give a lecture on commercialization, but it's actually a process. Of course, when you conduct research and then you go into development and then commercialization stage. There's another step actually. After commercialization period, we call it as a business. So RDC and B, research, development, commercialization, and then business, right? So research and development, everybody knows. A university researcher doing research, and university researcher collaborate with the industry to do the development. And then the commercialization stage, who's responsible? Basically is where we do the market trial, where we test our prototype that we develop in our development stage into the real environment. You can do clinical trial where I have my earlier product on medical devices that has to go through commercialization stage, where we send our medical products, safety syringe and our vacuum blood container to hospitals. That's where the commercialization stage, and it can take more than 5 years to go through the commercialization stage. So, and then once you go through the commercialization stage, where we call it as the valley of death, there's a theory behind it, the S-curve, where some of the product does not survive the valley of death, so it just dies away. They dies in the commercialization stage. So once you survive the commercialization stage, then where you have a spin-off company or you sell the intellectual property to other people, where the B comes in, where business comes in, where the company can sustain and to reproduce the product and to expand the business. So commercialization stage is an important period. That's why Mysip is focusing on that this commercialization stage, where TRL 5, 6, and 7, which is considered as where technology readiness level is growing. From 1 to 3, TRL lower level, nurturing, fundamental, and then going into development 4, 5, and then the maturity is start to kalau pokok durian pun dia dah tanam berapa tahun, lepas tu baru nak berbuah, lepas tu barulah gugur. So itu proses commercialization is very crucial. That's why this particular grant is tackling the commercialization stage. So that's my own opinion on that. Maybe it is tercapai hasratnya ataupun tidak. Maybe other opinion from other people can also be benefit, right?
All right. Prof, since it involved many parties, it's a consortium. I think before you did your sharing session with the UM, other briefing with the M.A.R.E.S as well as the Spanish company, other briefing, okay, open. And then we still curious, how actually do you identify Spanish industry? Because like you yourself, you are from Oxford, so from UK. So how do you get industry people in Spain? Kalau university, fine, okay, but it is industry. How do you do this? Can you share, Prof?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hanafi. So there's no secret behind it. It is just a matter of luck and networking. We means me and Dr. Nadir attended a conference in Portugal online. So we attended a Portugal air show. It is an air show in Portugal, but it is conducted online. I just happened to become one of the speakers in the session, and we get to know through the networking through online that happened in year 2020. And we get to know there is a company called ICA producing this thermal insulator. And then
how do you convince them? Because they need also to pump some money.
It is a long story, but to get it short, basically, there is a several session of online meeting like this. Of course, we don't fly there because we cannot fly there. So through convincing, saying that yes, they said they have to. The first one is that we have to convince that they have to be audited. So that what happened to our first partner. They don't want to be audited. They said that it is I don't know what, for whatever reason. Some companies, they are very afraid whenever it comes to auditing, especially government auditing private companies. So this particular company is a big company. They're well-established company, and they have many track record in producing home appliances. It's not just a thermal insulator company. They produce home appliances, they produce furniture, they produce so many things. And producing thermal insulator is just one of their product. And this particular initiative that we propose to them, saying that we can reduce the thickness of their insulator. Okay, by having our aerogel coating on their insulator, so they can reduce costs. We show that we convince them there are benefits to them. So that's how it started. But of course, there are many arguments. We send them our early samples, then they send us samples. So before the proposal comes in, so we have already a series of macam kata merisik and also bertunang dan sebagainya. So it is a lengthy process and quite difficult, and you have to have trust.
Yeah, exactly.
Itulah.
All right, thank you, Prof. Any question from the audience? Any more questions?
Yes, may I ask 2 questions?
Yes. Prof. Hafiz.
Congratulations for the grant, Prof. Right? And first question, for the local industry, whether the ministry want it to have a cash injections or it can be a trade-in injection for that 200,000 that you mentioned, because we have difficulty to get the cash injections as such amount. Okay. The second one for the industry. Okay, you have explained that you have industry partner. Is it a must to get the industry partner in Spain, or you can have a university or other partners? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Hafiz.
Thank you, Prof, for the question. With regards to the monetary contribution, right? Yes, might in their requirement, they would like to see there is some amount of cash involved, tangible. So there is also
how much actually? Whether it's 10%, 20% of the amount that promised?
In our proposal, there is also in kind. For example, like the company, they try to, for example, when they need to buy equipment. Okay, so that is a contribution from the company, even though it sound in kind, but they have to show that they are purchasing something. Right? That is considered as cash. At the same time, for salary of people, also considered as cash, even though they hire new people or using existing people, staff, and then they can be considered as cash. And for rental of their spaces, they need to rent a new space in order for them to do the manufacturing process. Those are considered as long as there is, they can show there is a money going in or out their account, that is considered cash. Of course, Mike doesn't want to say that. Yeah.
So they are not that specific.
They will audit. It's quite tricky. And it's also take us quite some time to convince our partner, Malaysian partner, especially to produce 400,000. So in cash pula tu kan, it's quite difficult. But after explaining, saying that you can put it as your salary, for example, the managing director salary, the engineer salary, the shop floor worker salary, and how many people get involved in the project, how many days per month, so on. So we cost that in terms of the cash contribution to the project. And at the same time, when the company, of course, they have to buy material, they have to buy new equipment that that related to this project, they can show to Mike saying that this has been spent, and they will get the funding, the allocation that being disbursed by Mike. So that's how it works. So again, it's about trust lah. It's about convincing our partner. And Prof Hafiz also asked about industry partner in Spain. Yes, it is compulsory. It is a main requirement. You can have a partner in academic in Spain, but it can be a collaborator. It's not a partner, right? So the main partner is in industry in Spain, industry in Malaysia, and of course one university in Malaysia. So as I said earlier, the Spanish higher education ministry is not involved. That's why we do not have a Spanish partner from the university side in Spain, which is not a requirement. And the industry in Spain, the company ICA themselves, they have they work with other universities, but in our case, they have their R&D people getting in touch with us in terms of their technical people.
Two more things. One is about the patent. That maybe you have the agreement or MOA between the companies and consortium. One. The second one is that usually to get things into Europe, you need to have some regulations. Like for medical things, we spend more than 1 million to get the CE marking, for example. And I'm not sure with because this is going to be an industry and got to commercialize. That's why you say about 5 years, the valley of death and all that. But then for medical, yes, because we need to go through. For example, if let's say you want to go to US, the things that must be tested in US may cost you $1 billion, for example. But I'm not sure how you get in the things to Europe, whether regulations, but CE or whatever.
Okay, Prof, that's very relevant in terms of the pattern and so on. Of course, we have to spell out in terms of the pattern management. When we put in in our proposal, there is one segment stating in terms of how do we manage the IP. So that is being spelled out in our consortium agreement between the three parties. Any product that come up from the project will result to if there is a patent, so it has to we are the consortium will be the inventors and the people that get involved, and they have already agreed that it will be patent through UPM, okay, and not going to be patented in Spain or not going to be patented through the company. Okay.
Why not go to Europe? Because the cost to patent in Malaysia is quite cheap. But once you want to patent it in Europe, that is the money comes in.
Yes, because the requirement by the funder, our MOHE need the patent.
Why not do
CDTI
it
and also MAR doesn't
simultaneously?
need the patent.
You do it here and also you do it there.
Yeah, there's a good suggestion there. Thank you very much. I will try to convince them, because of course there will be costs for them to patent. Even though we patent it in Malaysia, we can also patent it in US and other places. But I want to talk about
you got
the
only
second
1
part.
year. Once you've patented it here, you got about a year to patent it elsewhere.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's not.
Yeah. So that's and we also put a cost in terms of for our MOHE grant. There is some big chunk of money for patent application. So because it is a requirement by MOHE. The other part that you mentioned about whether we have enough time, 24 months to do the market penetration. So just to let all of you know that the company itself, ICA, they already have their existing clients, right? And they are been selling their thermal insulator for quite some time now. So they have their track record. At the same time, now we are going to just to improve on their product to reduce the thickness with the superior thermal insulator. So we are going to use hop into their business model, their existing track record in order for us to reduce the risk. Of course, when we presented our idea, the panel, this is coming from the panel themselves, panel from Cradle, so they even advise us just use the existing client from the Spanish partner so that we can easily penetrate Europe. That's what we are doing now.
Okay. All right. I think any more questions from the audience?
Prof, I mean, when you say you set up the consortium, I mean, you're saying that yourself being part in the company, okay? Because as we aware, if say being part in the company, there's a liability per se, you know, and then what is the profit sharing like? You know, I mean, just to have some idea lah, Prof. Because let's say lah for the new applicants, what are you suggesting, Prof?
Okay, maybe I got you wrong, Dr. Shamzani. The consortium that we are talking about is just the collaboration between the three entities. UPM, the person that signed the agreement is our Vice Chancellor, right? Even though I'm doing the research, but the signing is by the Vice Chancellor and then the Managing Director of the two companies. So it's not it's just agreement saying that we are doing the collaboration. It's not forming another company or what. So which is to show to the because Mysip panel, when they said that they want something that is already having collaboration, meaning that you already have an agreement with your partners and you are already doing it, and they want to just, because the amount and the duration is very short, they want to make sure that whatever is no longer any idea, is already a tangible product in place, and just to bring it up to the new market. Okay, so it's not something like an science fund where we applied research and so on. It is that's why I said is to produce a PhD or master student from this project is quite difficult. But we are trying to maneuver here and there to produce papers because that's our job. Itulah we are not producing or forming a new company or entity.
Prof, one more thing. To me lah, I mean, this is quite macam a success story, Prof. Money come out, contributed by MOHE. Okay, and we are aware that nowadays the university will probably have less money. How can from this kind of project, contribute or help the university in a way? That's why I'm asking about the profit sharing lah. Because at least through this, then we could help the university lah in a way in the long run, because I believe all the university in Malaysia have to move towards sustainable financial sustainability. Prof, thank you.
Okay. Of course, when university get the money in lump sum, Bendahari University is very happy lah. So getting the money 500,000, of course, we are not going to use the money 500,000 in the first month. So the money can be parked elsewhere to generate some income by putting it somewhere to get some return of investment. And at the same time, since in any university they want to see there are benefits coming out from grants, but for this particular funding, the universities are not allowed to tap certain amount of like 5% of the total amount. We used to tap from other sources, for example, like industry grant. The university Bendahari will tap certain amount percentage for the management. So, but for this kind of grant, I think in other grants provided by MOHE, we are not allowed to take 5% from there. For 5 or 10%, certain university take 10% from the grant. So, but at the same time, I don't know, in terms of providing sustainability to the university, of course, when we can sell the money, sell the product, eventually there will be what do you call it, as a I lost my words now. Commission. It's not commission. It's what? Some percentage of the royalty. Yeah, thank you, bro. Okay. So royalty and maybe selling IPs, those kind of thing, which can come up from this particular project. So please make dua that the project itself can be successfully delivered and it become a realistic, inshallah, one day.
Inshallah.
All the best, Prof.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
All right. Thank you so much. I think we are run out of time. Madam Aida, isn't it? Kita sepatutnya habis pukul 4 ya?
The sharing session. Thank you very much, Prof.
Okay. All right. So I think we already listened to the very good advice from our expert, Prof. Rahim from UPM. His experience securing 2.8 million grant. It's a huge amount though, but it's a very dia bukannya dia kena full of process from the beginning, especially to build up a consortium itself and then build up trust and then convincing others and etc. So congratulations, Prof. Rahim. All the best for your project. Thank you for your time. Share this session, share your experience to us, especially in IIUM. We are, inshallah, moving forward into that direction, into higher TRL level, inshallah, one day. So I think with that, let us close our briefing session with Tasbih Kafara and Suratul Asr. Subhanakallah.